let's start with your introduction. A little about G.S. Thina.
So yes, GS Thina, basically G Surendar Thina. Google recognized me better as GS Thina. So
Okay.
I just get that to be something that people can refer me.
Mhm.
So I came to Chennai in 2013, where I started my first year of BTech IT.
Okay.
Uh, then from there, 4 years of BTech helped me to learn a lot in terms of exposure to the
Mhm.
industry,
Mhm.
and that was where I really got exposed to the usual world, which is highly unlikely
Mhm.
to be what we have been experienced during the school days.
Huh.
So that has been like an eye opener, being in Chennai, being in SRM University.
Mhm.
Yeah, and basically I'm from a town called, I wouldn't say town, but a kind of a town, getting to become a town soon,
Huh.
called Mumbai. It's
Okay.
in Thane district of Tamil Nadu.
All
And
right.
that's when I started. I did my schoolings in my locality, and from there, for my higher secondary, I did it in Montfort School in Kerala. That
Okay.
was yet another space where I got to learn a lot of life based skills, and from
Hmm.
there I came to Chennai, and since then it's been Chennai itself. I'm having a great time, being with people, being with especially college students.
Mhm.
And currently, I work in a company called Cloudera
Okay.
as a front-end engineer.
Mhm.
And eventually, from my second year onwards, that is back in 2014, 15, from that time onwards, I have been building a community for college students where the primary aim is to make sure every college student gets their industry exposure before they graduate. And
Okay.
so that's kind of my bread and butter on a regular basis, where I
Mhm.
think about it, where I used to talk about it. I go meet people regarding this.
Hmm.
So things are like this. So yeah, this is me, but don't take this very complicated, okay?
Nah.
I'm just an ordinary college senior for any college student from any place. Yeah.
Okay, so how was your childhood? Were you a bright student
Yeah.
and were you liked by a lot of people and family members, or was it opposite?
Okay. Good question. Childhood. I mean, I would say I'm the luckiest guy, probably during my days among my peers. I was one of the luckiest ones. Having everything set, ready for whatever I may ask for. Everything will be there. Just the thing is, of course, the parents, they were in a I mean, economically low background, but
Hmm.
whatever was needed for me in terms of education was everything available. They did make sure everything was present for me, so I
Wow.
didn't have any sort of a struggle as such.
Hmm.
But talking about what do you call talking about the kind of having a good number of people around me always, no, that was not the case. Because what you hear from me right now, I think you're actually hearing a flow of words coming out, right?
Hmm.
But I have been one of the worst speakers. Uh, I I mean, I don't even know how to talk fluently,
Hmm.
even in my own mother tongue.
Hmm.
I mean, I know to speak, I know the words, I know the grammars, I
Hmm.
know stuff, but the thing
Hmm.
is, I used to stammer a lot.
Okay.
So even in a group setting, right, it has never been that connecting for me. I used to stay a little bit away always. I used to be a kind of the most introverted kid.
Okay.
Everything was there like a complete privilege. So
Hmm.
I didn't really have to go and fight for things. So I was
Okay.
just with things.
Then how
That.
did you thought to just build a community as you were introvert and never
Hmm.
engaged with a lot of people? So how did
Yeah.
that interest came in?
It. I mean, I would say I was forced to become an extrovert mixed with introvert. I mean, I was really forced to it.
Hmm.
Uh, it was just a passion where I had to, make sure people are exposed to the industry standards. Somehow
Hmm.
or the other, I was, by default having that kind of an understanding how a company would work, how recruitment happens, what
Hmm.
would people do after they recruit us, and all
Hmm.
those things.
Hmm.
Maybe because I was in touch with a couple of industry folks during my second year onwards.
Okay.
So when I was in third year or fourth year,
Hmm.
the level of understanding that I had about how all these processes work
Hmm.
was way far ahead of what the general common college guys had. So
Okay.
initially it felt like that was like great thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in second or third year, I guess we went deep diving into teaching people.
Okay.
So when we were teaching people, it was purely teaching. It was not mentorship. It was not community. Nothing.
Hmm.
It was merely teaching what I knew.
Okay.
So back then, I think I got an opportunity to learn how web development works, how
Hmm.
mobile apps work, how
Hmm.
game development is done, and basically talking about the software development life cycle. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, from I don't know if you understood. I mean, if you understand how softwares are built, maybe you do understand. But the concept of how any software is built is always the same. But
Okay.
but when you talk about exposure,
Hmm.
regardless of the process how a software is designed,
Hmm.
it's about the kind of standards that you put in there. It's kind of the level of processes that you set up there to build your product.
Okay.
So when it came to that part, I was able to teach people what it is. Sitting
Okay.
like on a one-on-one environment, I was able to connect through what I have already done. I was able to showcase to them. But
Hmm.
the problem was always when it came to that point of standing in front of a public and teaching.
Hmm.
So I completely avoided that actually.
Okay.
So I took my own comfort zone to kind of
Hmm.
personally sit and teach to them. So that
Okay.
happened to five people, I guess. I think out of seven people who initially started in, being in touch with me to learn
Hmm.
something,
Hmm.
I think there were like five different domains which I was able to help them out.
Hmm.
So out of the seven, five people were actually staying in long term. So for
Okay.
all year, they did stay with me, and we did connect a lot. Whatever
Hmm.
projects that I used to get, I started sharing it with them.
Hmm.
What happened when I was in third year is these guys came to second year, my
Okay.
immediate juniors.
Hmm.
They started getting their juniors in first year, who came and
Okay.
asked them, Bhaiya, how do you do this? Can you teach me and all? So,
Hmm.
those people brought those juniors to me. So,
Okay.
unknowingly, you know,
Hmm.
I didn't even think of what this will create, but
Hmm.
unknowingly, I told them, hey, my duty was to teach. I mean, this was kind of an escape from, my, problem of facing people. I was
Yeah.
actually, okay to speak with these five people, but
Hmm.
not really with those random new people. There were a bunch of people like 12 to 13, 12 to 15 people there were. So I
Okay.
mean, all of the five people had their own individual juniors, like two or three people
Yeah.
who came together. But I
Hmm.
really didn't feel that comfortable in standing in front of them. So I said them, hey, listen, it was my duty to teach you people. Now it is your responsibility to go ahead and teach those people.
Okay.
So
Okay.
my only thing that I talked to them was have your own juniors, have your own juniors. That is something that I kept telling like every time when I meet them. You should have
Wow.
your own set of seniors. You should have your own set of juniors, and
Hmm.
that is where your basic circle is formed. So I was comfort with
Nice.
my circle.
Wow. So, do you think like
Yeah.
your college played a major role or some part for you to help and build that sort of idea into a large project?
No. So college did not actually help me build this into a bigger one. Honestly, until I graduated,
Hmm.
Think Digital was not even official in my college.
Okay.
So, wherever we go, stick any poster, it used to get torn because SRM's logo is not there.
Hmm.
And wherever we go speak about this, they'll be like, is this a registered one? How do we believe you? That kind of vibe was always given there.
Hmm.
So that was itself like a motivation for us. Okay, we should do something really strong. And some existing clubs also approached telling that, hey, see, you guys are a huge number of people. Like when you're during those days, 30 people staying together and doing something itself is a huge thing. It was.
Exactly.
And yeah, and people used to look at that and they'll be like, hey, see, we have a club, we have everything ready.
Hmm.
Why don't you come and join our club, and you guys can form that technical wing of that club.
Hmm.
But that didn't really resonate much, because for me it was more about making sure we helping our juniors.
Wow. That's great. So, how did you just got that skill of public speaking then?
Okay, so I really like to speak. Okay, just that I was not able to speak, right? But I had the intention that I want to open up in front of people, I want to speak with people. But that stammering kept me going behind. I used to escape from all the situations. During my first year I got a chance. That was when I really got a clap for the, for the speech that I gave. That was also not like a complete speech from my side.
Okay.
I mean, I did speak about ragging during one of our personality development classes.
Hmm.
uh, when the whole class was expecting me to speak about, speak against ragging.
Hmm.
I mean, indeed, the staff was also expecting that, I guess. But I was
Hmm.
speaking in favor of ragging. Like I
Okay.
told them that, we need ragging. Every
Okay.
college student has to be ragged at least once. To, I
Okay.
mean, that is yet another exposure, right? That is a way to get that bond, right? I mean, I do
Right.
understand there are a number of ways in which they should not get ragged,
Hmm.
but officially, formally, they have to be ragged in some way or the other, which is, within the, proper borders and proper limitations. So, talking
Okay.
about all that, people that, gain a little bit of attention there. Whenever
Hmm.
you speak something, controversial or something, different, they will look,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
that happened. And I mean, I just wanted to somehow speak whatever I knew, and I just went to, my place. But I don't know, that day it was like a second chance for me, where I felt like, I mean, my dad used to tell one very good, phrase. Not a phrase, but a kind of a lengthy dialogue,
Hmm.
um, which is nothing but sugar cane, right?
Hmm.
College days, or the college journey is generally up for 4 years. So if you take up the, sugar cane also, you can
Hmm.
consider it to be four different pieces.
Okay.
The first piece, the topmost, would usually be a little bit, bitter in taste.
Okay.
So that is where the ragging comes in. It will be
Hmm.
bitter, but you will have to undergo that, and gradually, by the second year and third year, you will start experiencing the, sweetness. And
Hmm.
the actual sweetness of the sugar cane lies at the bottom of the sugar cane. So that is the
Yeah.
final year, and the way how you graduate, it will actually bring in a lot of sweet memories to you. So this was something that my dad told. And I don't know, somehow I went to stage and I mentioned this.
Hmm.
I in fact asked myself, like,
Hmm.
sir, can I just, do it once again? I just have one more point to add. He said, yeah, yeah, feel free to do. Then I went there, I spoke about this, everyone
Hmm.
clapped. So that was like, I mean, that gave a real boost. Like, no matter whatever stammer I had, this was like a
Hmm.
boost. So
Exactly.
the intention to speak was already, I mean, always needed
Hmm.
there. So without this intention, I don't think I would have made it, like made myself to be a speaker. So, as I
Exactly.
said, even though this confidence and everything was there, I did
Hmm.
find myself to escape from my juniors to, go speak, and, I asked them to go have their juniors, right? But eventually, having this kind of intention was actually necessary. And as I
Hmm.
said, I literally forced myself to, stand in front of people.
Okay.
And that had to happen when, actually there was a point where I knew how to deal with these people, my five set of, those five people. But
Hmm.
it was really hard for making them understand how to deal with their juniors,
Okay.
because it's not very, easy to make your, make someone lead a team.
Hmm.
Like, you may be a great leader, but it is really hard to make other people lead another team, right? So
Exactly.
that was something that I was facing. Like,
Hmm.
the people who are with me, they understood what we do, they understood the reason why we are all doing this together. But
Hmm.
it was very hard for them to make the, other set of people understand, the, their
Okay.
juniors, and their juniors understand
Hmm.
why we do this and what is the outcome of this and all. So that
Hmm.
was when I had to step in, and I had to, on a regular basis, I think weekly once, or, alternative weeks, I don't really remember well. But we
Hmm.
used to bring them everyone together to a place called amphitheater. So
Okay.
now, whatever, there is something called Tech Park right now. So
Hmm.
opposite Tech Park, now I think there is a building, but previously there used to be a bigger park.
Hmm.
There is an amphitheater where we used to gather, everyone together.
Okay.
So like 30, 40 people will be together,
Hmm.
and I was really put in a point, spot where I will have to address everybody.
Okay.
So initially, it was really tough. I
Hmm.
was literally, talking. I mean, I don't remember exactly what I was talking, but I'm pretty sure I would have been, stumbling there.
Hmm.
But when time passed, like, things got improved. And as I said, like, forcing yourself to make that, change. I
Exactly.
think that's the only easiest way to change it, right? If you are
Exactly.
looking for opportunities, if you're just waiting for opportunities,
Hmm.
you will just get it delayed, and it will just take a lot of time.
Completely
But
agree.
yourself to it, that's going to, be the easiest way. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, now let's get onto that ragging point. So how will you that explain it in a form of an example? That what is the good part of
Ah,
ragging and what is the bad part of it?
okay, super. So, okay, let me give you something. So, when you say ragging, right, it is nothing but getting to know somebody better.
Okay.
Okay, getting to know somebody or some process better. Like for
Hmm.
example, let's say I go meet as I go meet a senior,
Hmm.
right? He definitely knows better than me in terms of the college,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. So when you have somebody as a senior or super senior, whoever,
Hmm.
who knows something better in that space,
Hmm.
even though you come across them once or twice,
Hmm.
any small piece of information that you get to learn from them is going to
Hmm.
help you, because you will
Ex-
stay far ahead of your college mates, your batchmates,
Exactly.
right?
Hmm.
And none of the college seniors will find a junior who is reserved and who is not willing to speak,
Hmm.
right? So the only way how you can gain that momentum is through that communication with the senior.
Hmm.
And communicating with the senior, what else could be a better way other than ragging? That's the most comfortable way for them to communicate with you. Honestly, you take any kind of clubs, I mean, even Think Digital, right?
Hmm.
The level of connection that you get from your senior will take at least, like, 6 months to, nurture and become like a strong connection. But in
Exactly.
rap, it'll like 2 days maximum. It doesn't go beyond that.
Okay, so have you faced that part? Have you been ragged ever?
You know.
And have you seen
Man,
someone being ragged?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories from my batch itself.
Hmm.
And when I was a senior also, I did see many of my guys ragging people within SRM itself.
Uh,
But it used to be very good way of ragging. Like, I mean, as I said, right? I mean, it used to be highly problematic in SRM if you are doing if you are ragging or if you get ragged
hmm.
and all. It's like a huge problem.
Hmm.
But I would say the proper way of ragging would be to giving that superiority to your senior,
Okay.
making them feel like, yes, you are a senior and you are superior to me. Guide
Hmm.
me what I have to do, where I have to do. This
Hmm.
kind of a surrendering is actually the part
Hmm.
of the ragging. So you will definitely know your limits,
Hmm.
and he should also know his limits.
Hmm.
And in that proper space, if you
Hmm.
are surrendering yourself as that lower guy, if
Hmm.
you do not make that fuss out of what he does, right,
Hmm.
it's going to be the best thing that you can imagine. See,
Okay.
without see, okay, let me give you. During my first year, I was not ranked
Hmm.
because I was already, height, and I was a basketball player back then. So
Okay.
people didn't feel really, like a child. They didn't look at me like a school kid who just joined. So when I was in second year, I was being ragged like hell. I was in second year, and all my third year and final year guys, they started ragging me in terms of many ways. Like, I mean, there was an team called IT Association.
Hmm.
So that was the actual prime club where I got started my journey in SRM. Until then, I did nothing.
Okay.
So in IT Association, I had a number of seniors who used to call me to their house. Like,
Oh.
there used to be apartments called Abode, Estancia, and all. So
Hmm.
Abode was very closer to college, and they used to call me there,
Hmm.
and I go there for doing works,
Okay.
right? And they all speak Hindi, and very few people speak Tamil, and
Okay.
and I only speak Tamil and a
Hmm.
little bit of English. I don't know great English as they speak, or I don't know great. I mean, I don't even know a little bit of Hindi also.
Hmm.
So they used to literally make fun of me. I know that,
Hmm.
and they used to pull me into situations where they are fighting with each other, and they put me inside and they ask me to do something, like in terms
Okay.
of you tell who is the right person, who is telling correct, you tell me. So I don't know what to say. If I tell
Hmm.
this guy will hit me. If I tell this guy, then this guy will trash me. So
Okay.
that kind of setup it used to be. Trash in the sense, not in a negative sense. Like, I mean, of
Hmm.
course, they wouldn't hit me or punch me. It used to be more of that friendly way.
Okay.
So those situations had really helped me to connect with those people.
Hmm.
And at all those points, right, one thing that I always kept in mind was nobody is under me, or I am no way superior to them. That was the kind of feeling that I tell to myself. But when I speak to them, I just express like, with the best respect that that I can give.
Hmm.
That way, instead of considering me as one of their friends, I mean, of course, that would have been even more extensive way of connecting with them. But instead of considering me as a friend, they started considering me as their own brother.
Okay.
I was very respectful. I did keep up that limit. So
Hmm.
that eventually brought to a point where every opportunity that I got in college was through the senior only.
Wow.
Otherwise, nothing would have worked. Not even Think Digital, in nothing. See, you get stuck at any point, right? It's those seniors who were there.
Exactly. It happens.
It's really tough, like if you don't surrender yourself to your college seniors,
Hmm.
it will not work. And
Hmm.
disclaimer here, not all the
Hmm.
seniors.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
you should know the right seniors, and you will know the right seniors. I mean, you look at any public forums, right? You will
Hmm.
eventually know who is the set of people who are staying strong, who is the set of
Hmm.
people who are actually showcasing their face in front of the stages. So
Hmm.
that way you can identify such seniors, and you can just go surrender.
Exactly.
That's going to take you to huge heights which your professors or which your any management people cannot take you to. Even after you graduate, that will keep giving you fruits for sure.
Exactly. It does.
Yeah,
Helps. So, in short, I understood that your ragging helped you to build a lot of network, right?
yeah, definitely.
And do you think like networking is the most important part in life? Like where
uh,
money doesn't work, your networks work.
I wouldn't say the most important, but yes, it is important. I mean, I would say there are four different things that is highly necessary, right, for any college student. And one of the pillars, I mean, these are actually the pillars, actually, the four major pillars, and one of them is networking. And
Okay.
I wouldn't say even if we have a very huge network, right?
Hmm.
Um, you can easily fall under their what do you call? I mean, how can I
Trap.
put that? Yeah, like you can easily fall away from your actual path. Like
Okay,
if you
okay,
just
okay.
have that network, and if you do not have the other three pillars. So
Hmm.
talking about the other three pillars, it is nothing but, I mean, the first thing is your identity of your own. At any point of time, wherever you go, you should have one way to represent yourself.
Exactly.
You be a content writer, or you be a whatever you may be. You may be a
Hmm.
graphic designer, video editor, whatever it may be, but you need one identity that you can strongly say, hey, this is me.
Hmm.
Like, beyond your name, you should showcase, hey, this is me. That is one
Exactly.
strong pillar that we all should have.
Hmm.
And the second thing is definitely networking.
Okay.
I wouldn't say networking is the last, but networking is the second thing, because without this identity, you cannot utilize your network properly,
Exactly.
right? And when you have that huge network, when you have a very good network, forget about huge, good network. When you have a good
Hmm.
network, you can get a lot of opportunities, provided you also have this identity. But the thing is, how you are going to utilize these opportunities, really something that will be of a bigger question mark if you do not have one thing, that is your third pillar, exposure.
Hmm.
You do not have exposure to the tools that are being used in the industry, or
Hmm.
in the real time use cases. If you do not know the standards that people follow, you will really face a lot of struggle, even though you have a great network, and you have a great identity. So
Hmm.
the third pillar is exposure.
Exposure.
And yeah, for these three pillars to function well,
Hmm.
one ultimate base of this pillar is awareness.
Uh,
You should be first
Completely
aware
agree.
that these things are there, right? So that's it. These four pillars, I would say, are the most important ones, and network is the secondary. First thing is identity of your own.
Nice. All right, moving on to the next.
Yeah.
How would you define the importance of reading? Like many people say, you must read, you must read. So, how has it helped you, and how it can
Mm.
help a lot of people who are not actually into reading?
Okay. Reading, I would say, until now, I can say how many books. I mean, I can just use my fingers to show you how many books I have read. It's like reading as in, right, like people actually that, I mean, this is like a misconception where
Uh,
reading means reading the whole book or something like that, but it's not like that. But choosing what you read, like
hmm.
it's basically about what you consume, right? Forget
Exactly.
about books.
Hmm.
You are actually reading thousands of lines every day,
Hmm.
right? Forget about books. But this reading, what exactly you're reading will definitely shape you, that is for sure.
For sure.
But it doesn't have to be like I have read 1,000 books, I have read 100 books. No,
Hmm.
there are people who are not able to apply anything even after reading 100 books. There are people
Exactly.
in implementing 100 things by just reading one book, right? It all differs based on people, but
Hmm.
the my opinion is, regardless of whatever you read, be it
Hmm.
a newsletter or a blog or a book,
Hmm.
or even a quote, right? Always just don't go blindly to what they say.
Hmm.
Read it and take the crux out of it and see how that relates to you and how you can utilize to build that insights for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's more about the way how you consume it rather
Hmm.
than how much you read.
Hmm. Agree.
And I would say reading too much is actually a waste of time. Seriously,
Okay.
you take a book.
Hmm.
I mean, I have seen people reading from letter one to the letter Z, the last letter.
Hmm.
It doesn't make sense at all, right? It doesn't. I mean, how much have you really put a effort to implement those? It's like something really huge question mark.
Exactly.
If you are into that process of doing really stuff, for example, I mean, see, I'm not telling this to put away reading concepts and all. Of course,
Hmm.
reading is good, right? But the thing is, when you read a book, it should actually validate your process. It should validate your thoughts. It's
Exactly.
not the other way. You cannot gain thoughts by reading books, right? You are reading I mean, all your textbooks, are you gaining thoughts out of it? No, you are just trying to, go through that again and again just for the sake of exam. So
Exactly.
basically, that reverse thing is not at all possible. So,
Hmm.
so even if you force to read a lot of books, it is not going to help. But once you undergo a certain process, let's say even if it is your, textbook itself,
Hmm.
some teachers will really, trigger a lot of questions in you. Then they will make you read the book, which will
Exactly.
help you easily understand the concepts. So ideally, for any book or anything that you read, if
Hmm.
you had already undergone that process, if you want to become an entrepreneur, right,
Hmm.
you should try entrepreneurship first. You should
Hmm.
try to build something out of it. You should try to problem solve. Then you will have 1,000 questions. Then you go to a
Uh,
book. Any point that you pick from any random book will give you 100 insights,
exactly.
right? Otherwise, blank. I'm just going to read 1,000 books and I'm going to become a multi-billionaire and all. It won't work out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can a person find out his or her niche? Like how, what actually I want? How to find that and choose a book then?
Okay. So I call this like E. E is the way. How I generally suggest people, and we do strongly believe that in Think Digital as well. So E, four E's,
Hmm.
right? This comes with the philosophy of subtraction. Okay, so
Okay.
when you start with it, you basically explore everything to
Hmm.
start with.
Hmm.
You explore in the sense, not just going and doing it. It's about just knowing. As I said, the ultimate base is awareness, right?
Hmm.
Just become aware of things. That happens by trying to connect with your seniors, trying to talk to some industry experts, trying to talk with your fellow peers who are doing something or the other, apart from their
Hmm.
usual studies. I mean, and not to forget our teachers as well. So be aware of whatever is there, right? Be it different domains, be it different different categories within the same domain,
Hmm.
anything. There's no limit to it. Just go explore. And after you explore all these things, you will eventually come to a point where some of these things will definitely interest you. Some of these things will not really look great to you. So the ones that you strongly believe, let's
Hmm.
say you started believing in 100 things that you saw,
Okay.
right? Out of the 100, just go start experimenting it.
Hmm.
Experimenting in the sense, try to do at least out of the 100, try to do one by one, at least once in your available time. And
Hmm.
you can also go to the people who are already doing it, just be with them and observe what they do, and see if you can help them in some way or the other. This way you will eventually understand that 50 of those 100 things are not really interesting you when you start doing it. So you
Okay.
will eventually end up having the half of what you already had. And
Exactly.
from there, if you continue to like you start doing it yourself instead of just
Hmm.
being with somebody who does it. You
Hmm.
start doing it yourself.
Hmm.
Definitely 30-35% of it will go away when you start doing it. You will either feel drained out. You will either not get the enough motivation to get started with it, or you will not have that proper motivation to keep doing it regularly. So
Exactly.
all these things will, subtract even more 35% of the things. So the
Hmm.
rest, 15% of the things, you just have to continuously keep doing. And, those 15% is the one that you are actually going to be good at. And out of
Uh,
that, by the time that you are, coming to a point, like let's say you are going to step in your third year or final year and all, right? You can actually start removing the ones that doesn't align with your career goals.
exactly.
You are a great dancer. You may
Hmm.
be a great poet as well. You may be a great writer. You may be a great singer. Anything, right?
Hmm.
All of these can be your weapons. All of these
Hmm.
can be your career weapons.
Hmm.
But what directly aligns to your future career, you have to choose that, and suppress all the other things with you, which is like what do you call, which is something like I would say backup tools, backup weapons.
Hmm.
So right now you are a dancer. So
Hmm.
your prime focus is on dancing, and whoever comes in front of you, telling that, hey, I'm bigger than you, you will be like, I don't mind. I'm a good dancer, and that is good, right? So that is the weapon that you have. But eventually, when
Exactly.
there is a very good dancer who comes to your space, who kind of takes your space, that is
Hmm.
the point that you will take all those backup weapons. Hey, wait, you
Hmm.
are a very good dancer. I agree, but I'm a dancer. I'm also a singer. I can also do this. I can also write poems. So now you tell me who is the bigger one. And you come into picture, right? So this
Exactly.
way you get to subtract and come to a point where you utilize one weapon, but you have a couple of them to showcase as your backup ones, and
Hmm.
all those other things like your long jump, high jump, all those other qualities or those things that interested you during your initial days, it can
Hmm.
just fade away. It is absolutely fine, not a problem at all. Those will
Exactly.
be those will be your kind of historical things that you can talk to your juniors, that you can talk to your
Hmm.
kids in the future maybe.
Hmm.
So reserve them for such good memories, right?
Exactly.
So go back. But yeah, ideally this is the way I would strongly
Hmm.
recommend people to identify what they really want to do. By
Hmm.
this time, they would have definitely figured out a lot of things. But you cannot directly end up to the first thing, by just
Hmm.
thinking. It will
Exactly.
not. Uh,
All right. Okay. So, what do you think? Who is a great leader, or how would you define the term leadership?
okay. I mean, before that, why did this question come up? Like, was it something that you just brought it up, or did you have this already in mind?
No, no, I had it already in mind. Like you are already running a community and you are
Okay.
leading
Okay.
people, so
Cool. Cool.
that's why.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's really a pleasure to ask because, right, talking about leadership, it's really hard to find, college people talk about leaderships,
Hmm.
because the max they talk about is entrepreneurship, but they don't come to that next level, which is leadership. So that's why I was a bit, thinking if you did really have this in your mind, or if you just, pick up those words when I was
Uh,
speaking. If you wanted to get that, okay, great. So leadership. I think, as I was telling you, right, there was a point in time where I forced myself to be, away from that introvert feeling. That was
hmm.
where this leadership quality of mine was actually triggered, where
Okay.
it was not just me leading one team. Leading one team is actually not I wouldn't say 100% leadership.
Hmm.
Um, it's about a leader being a leader plus creating leaders, not just followers. So that is where that crux of leadership comes into picture. It's more
Exactly.
about when you are a video editor,
Hmm.
you are very good video editor only when you have a group of people who learned video editing from you and who are working for you.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you are just yet another video editor who works for somebody, right? Just like that. So a leader, as in, he should develop leaders rather than followers. So that is one prime thing I would say.
Hmm.
And as part of leadership, I would like to emphasize this one term, that is consciousness.
Okay.
So being a leader is probably easy, but
Hmm.
being a conscious leader is really tough.
Okay.
Um,
Please
when
elaborate.
a conscious leader, sorry.
Elaborate it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to. I mean, see, I'm usually, good at elaborating because I work with smaller, age people. So I keep
Hmm.
elaborating. So don't feel bad that this guy just talks everything.
Uh,
Don't be like that.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, talking about conscious leadership, it's more about being aware of what are the changes that comes, or what is the impact that you create,
Hmm.
and making the moves accordingly.
Hmm.
You can consider this to be a chess, right? Like a chessboard.
Hmm.
You cannot just move your coin based on you going and tackling somebody, or you going and taking off somebody's coin. It's more about the 10th move. After you make this move, what will it be? It's
Hmm.
about that 50th move. What will happen if I move this right now? So that is the awareness based leadership. So that is nothing but conscious leadership. So basically, when you focus on this conscious leadership, right, what would eventually happen is you will be aware of what other people start to change. Like, let's
Okay.
say we are part of this meeting so far, right?
Hmm.
Every now and then, my mind, there will definitely be some sort of thing running in my mind, how you are reacting there.
Hmm.
I wouldn't just assume that you are finding this interesting. I
Yeah.
cannot assume that. And
Exactly.
I also should not overthink, and I should not go to a point where, okay, probably am I speaking the right thing? Is he really, reacting properly, or if he is not really reacting well, does it mean that I'm not speaking well? So two sides, I should balance it out, and I should be clear about what you are feeling there by the way
Hmm.
how you react. In in most of the situations, within the first 10 minutes itself, we'll be able to identify one thing, that is, if the people with whom we are speaking about
Hmm.
is it's really genuinely sitting there and listening or not, right?
Exactly.
That way, when we connect with people, any conscious leader will be able to understand that if his value is present, I mean, if his presence is valued there.
Valued or not? Yeah.
So that is what I say as conscious leadership. And when I go command, or when I write something up for somebody,
Hmm.
it is not like if I just write a feedback for Nishant on a
Hmm.
public forum, right? It should not just help Nishant, but it should actually help everyone else who reads that feedback,
Exactly.
right? It shouldn't mislead anyone else.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a lot into that consciousness. But
Hmm.
what is conscious? Being aware of what is the impact that you create when you say or when you do something.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the next one.
Cool.
Okay. Like, how important is it to excel in technology in today's world?
Oh no, this is a question. It's like how I mean, like how important is air? So it's. I mean, the world is going digital.
Exactly.
So forget about tech, right? I mean, tech is something hardcore. If you ask me, I
Hmm.
wouldn't say it is probably the topmost thing. But understanding the tech is much important.
Okay.
You don't need to be working with tech, but you should
Hmm.
understand the tech so that you can work with people who works with tech,
Hmm.
right? For any person, like be it technical or non-technical, a career can be very well progressed only when they are more of a non-tech guy. That, I mean, I wouldn't say non-tech, but people guy. You
Okay.
should start learning how to deal people,
Hmm.
because
Exactly.
yeah, you cannot always be in that place where you sit and do that ground level works,
Hmm.
right? Because now you don't have bigger commitments, but sooner or the other you will have your own family, you will have a lot of new things coming up for you. You cannot just continue to do the same kind of work, right? So you need to start pushing that tech away from you, and start working with people. So
Exactly.
that is where I mean, people say you have to keep upskilling, right?
Hmm.
You definitely have to upskill what those techs are, but you don't really have to know the nook and corner of it. Just have that understanding of how basically technology works. Like, you talk about the tech in terms of information technology, right?
Yeah.
uh, like anyway, there's something like, I mean, as I was mentioning, the software development life cycle. So
Hmm.
whatever product you want to build, that there is a life cycle. It is only about the standards that you apply. It's only about the processes that you apply. So that will
Hmm.
maybe at a micro level it will change, but on a macro level, you will start from requirement gathering until deployment, and
Hmm.
after deploy you get the feedback, and once again come back to the reiteration process, and this is how
Exactly.
it keeps going. So
Hmm.
similarly, in terms of any tech, in terms of not just the product, but also the technology, in terms of those server level, or
Hmm.
the cloud level, you talk about those, it's going to be more about the same thing. Somewhere there is data, you're going to
Hmm.
fetch it from somewhere, you're going to store it somewhere, you're going to process it, you're going to publish it. This is all about the whole tech.
Yeah.
And based on the need, if it is like a huge number of huge volume of data, you go and choose one tech. If it is like a small volume of data, why spend a lot of money? You choose another tech.
Hmm.
If it is like a small amount of data, but still wide data. I mean, wide data in the sense, so sometimes data will be, stored in a wide format. So, I
Okay.
mean, and so many number of columns will be there, and
Hmm.
single row, two rows may be there. So such processings can happen using a different tech. So, but regardless of all these, ultimately all you're going to work with tech is you're going to fetch some data, yeah, or you're going to process it, or you're going to store it, or you're going to compress it and store basically, or
Okay.
you're going to publish it to somewhere. This is what is
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
And if you just understand this mechanism of how a, basic server, like reaching to server and getting a response, that is more than enough, I would say, for a long
Okay.
term career. To, I mean,
Hmm.
for you to get started after you, graduate, or before you graduate, this idea should be more than enough for you to understand the tech. And understanding the tech is much sufficient
Hmm.
than knowing the tech.
Agree.
I think that was one of the longest answers for you, probably. But this is really something that is, not taken into consideration by many people, especially, I mean, you are not from SRM, but I know people still think that taking the hardcore technical skills is going to help them in their long term. But if
Okay.
if any person from SRM University is looking at this, this is definitely for them. This elaborated answer is
Hmm.
definitely for them. Please go, like, 1 minute back and once again listen to this also. It is definitely something, that you guys need to understand. Don't take tech as your hardcore thing.
Hmm.
Tech will keep evolving, right? So even if
Exactly.
you learn so much into something right now, it will keep evolving. You cannot say,
Sure.
"Hey, I learned only this tech. Now it
Hmm.
is this one. How am I going to manage?" But if you understand tech, forget about what exact tech comes in. You are going to,
Hmm.
utilize the space regardless of whatever the latest advancement is, AI, or AI, ML, or
Hmm.
artificial intelligence, anything. It is all going to be fine.
Completely agree.
Uh,
Right, like you have been with both sides of people, like people from south and people from north. So,
yeah.
what do you think? What's the difference, and what are the things to learn from both the sides?
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Good question. So first thing is, I mean, like, I have been working with these people for almost like 5 years or 6 years. Even after I graduated, I was working with these people.
Hmm.
One thing that I noticed was, in SRM University, right? The
Hmm.
people, those who travel a lot of distance and come from, the other parts of the India, and to learn, from this institution, right?
Hmm.
They understand that they are, putting in already a lot of efforts to travel and come, and they are, there to shine somehow or the other in their life. So the level of intention, the level of commitment that they show is really
Hmm.
huge, and something that we have to respect,
Okay.
than compared to the other set of people who are already part of this, this ecosystem.
Hmm.
Because, we from this, South Indian, mindset, right? What we have is,
Hmm.
everything is there for us. Like, people say SRM University is in South India, so people come to South India and study. But I already have, my South India, and SRM University is there. So,
Hmm.
I start feeling like, so I'm already in a great, space. I don't need to go any extra miles. But that
Exactly.
mindset is something that I have been observing quite a lot. Like,
Hmm.
in terms of the intention, right? um, I have very well seen the people from South India. They just don't take any of these things that happens within colleges seriously, especially in terms of these clubs and all.
Okay.
If it is cultural clubs, they take it very, very much eagerly, because it's full of entertainment and fun.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when it comes to tech, when it comes to, learning something new, upskilling the human skills, all these things, they
Hmm.
just feel like, no, it is our ecosystem, we know everything. That is the kind of thought they have, and it really, pulls me down most of the times. And for me, I think I was one of the exceptional cases during my days
Hmm.
in the college. In IT association, out of, let's say, 150 people, or, up to 200 people, barely there were like 10 Tamil speaking students, right?
Okay.
Of that 10 Tamil speaking students, 3 or 4 were really passionate in what we were doing.
Hmm.
And the rest of the people were just there to, pass some time in terms of those fun activities. That's it. But
Okay.
ideally, when time passed, when we were coming to third year and final year and all, I couldn't see any, South Indian people, or the Tamil speaking people, really taking up those leadership positions there.
Hmm. Hmm.
You talk about sports, they'll be there. You talk about, any cultures, they'll be there. There will be a
Hmm.
good, balance between this, mixture of culture. But when it
Hmm.
comes to this, leading a club, managing something, I don't know, somewhere there is a huge gap in terms of intention. I mean, I would say it is intention because opportunities are provided there for everyone, right?
Exactly.
But how these people utilize it is really, something that I respect.
Hmm.
Because they put in that effort to travel for, a lot of distance from their parents, and they really know that they are sacrificing something to be here. So they
Hmm.
really want to grasp something out of it. So they are open to, get any kind of opportunities for them. Yeah, but
Exactly.
that balance is something I'm really looking forward to see more, the
Hmm.
local people, taking that up.
So, what do you
Yeah.
think? How this can be improved?
Mm, I have tried like 4 years. Every year I have been, putting on more pressure on the, existing Tamil speaking guys in, within Think Digital, asking them, hey, see, we need to, bring up that balance,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of things in which these guys shine, right?
Hmm. Exactly.
In this current ecosystem,
Hmm.
and the people, those who are coming, all the way from the other parts of the country, they also shine in a lot of things.
Hmm.
But if this collaborates, this is going to be even huge, right? But that balance is something that's very hard, and we have been trying to bring in a lot of people. I'll tell you, this is exactly something that will happen even if you try to form a team there.
Hmm.
Everyone who is part of this, this current ecosystem in Chennai, or, around Tamil Nadu, right? Or
Hmm.
even Kerala, Tamil Nadu, basically South Indian, ecosystem.
Hmm.
Just feel like, you be part of the team, you
Hmm.
start feeling like you deserve things.
Right.
You just wait for things to happen. If
Hmm.
it doesn't happen to you, you just don't go for it, you don't seek for anything. This is what I have been, observing a lot and lot. And 4 years of time, I have almost, tried to bring in at least, 15 to 20 people into the club. But after like 6 months, there will be one or two staying back.
Okay.
Okay, see, one side it is a bit of intention, but while I'm, talking more on this, I mean, I'm also getting something in my mind where, by the time when it was the COVID, right? After
Hmm.
COVID, when we started meeting people, I realized there were more number of people. I mean, I could see the balance in them.
Hmm.
But I feel like, in terms of this cultural differences, right? When people come and meet together, or when they're working online, I think it's all very good. I
Hmm.
think it was during that 2 years of online, space. I think the
Hmm.
balance happened. Yes, yes, I do remember it now. The balance did happen. So probably the intention was there, but what was really missing out was the way how we could collaborate there. Like, I think we
Right.
ourselves felt, or, we ourselves kept ourselves, away from
Hmm.
that groups. As I
Hmm.
said, I mean, indeed, that is also one of my traits as well. Like, as I said, I was staying a bit away from those groups, right?
Hmm.
Be away from it, right? I think that was something that, people also had in mind. But
Hmm.
some way or the other, as I said, I had the intention of being there. I had the intention of keeping on, like, to do this continuously.
Exactly.
So yeah, I forced myself, but that
Hmm.
forcing, reason was not given to all those people, I guess. But
Okay.
yeah, like, something has to be done in that terms to bring up the balance, I would say.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Moving on to the next one. Like nowadays, when someone talks about IT, the first
Mhm.
word that hits the mind is coding, and everyone starts judging the industry on the basis of that single term. So,
Mhm.
how does actually the industry works, and what's more important than coding in IT industry?
Okay, I mean, first of all, coding is not the prime important thing.
Hmm.
Okay, that is one thing, simple, short. Okay, but coding is a good way to enter into any industry. Like, I mean, any company,
Okay.
because coding is much necessary skill, and, that is something that, can easily help evaluating somebody. But
Hmm.
the other, skills like, working with the systems that they have,
Hmm.
working or building the processes that they have, all those
Hmm.
need experience. So only for
Exactly.
that reason, people find coding to be the easiest way to enter inside.
Hmm.
But ideally, when there are too much of people focusing on this one specific part, that is coding, it even becomes too much, competitive, and it becomes too tough.
Hmm.
That's the reason this space is really, too much crowded.
Crowded, huh?
Otherwise, yeah, coding is probably, I would say, 10 to 20% of the whole IT industry, because
Okay.
the industry should run, like, a lot of products are already there.
Hmm.
You talk about any bigger companies,
Hmm.
Google, AWS,
Hmm.
that is Amazon, or
Hmm.
anything you take up and keep, they have existing products. They have
Exactly.
everything built. So the current set of people, they are not going to go code and build something new there, right?
Exactly.
It's all there. But what those companies will have, apart from coding, is they need somebody who sells the products or the services.
Hmm.
They need people who will market these things to the public. They need to bring this awareness, and
Exactly.
we need people who will manage these, new people, those who are coming into the company. They
Hmm.
need people who are, helping the company to stay for a longer run,
Longer
rather
run.
than just investing upon the new people and new technologies, and then going
Hmm.
away from the game. So there is quite a lot of things that will govern any company to run forward, and
Hmm.
coding is one ultimate part that is also needed. And
Hmm.
when it comes to that, the topmost tech companies, right?
Uh,
As I said, when they have these existing products,
hmm.
they cannot deprioritize coding, because this coding is something that will eventually keep enhancing their product, or basically sustain their product, or there will be scope for new products coming up from them. As you see
Hmm.
recent days, two bigger giants being, like a major firefighting is going on in terms of
Hmm.
technology.
Hmm.
So this competition is going to keep on increasing, and the only way to overcome each other company is definitely by utilizing the tech, and coding is highly necessary there.
Hmm.
But when you call IT, information
ID.
technology, coding is probably, as I said, the 20% of the whole thing.
Okay.
Just with coding, companies cannot move forward. You cannot
Hmm.
code and you cannot increase your stock price. You cannot just code and make your revenue to $1 billion.
Exactly.
So coding is needed,
Hmm.
but if you want to get into IT, you have thousand other options to explore and come into.
Exactly.
So IT is not coding, and just
Hmm.
because you know coding, it doesn't mean that you will just like that be in an IT company. You need 100 other things
Okay.
also to be part of it.
Hmm. Like you are a job person, you know,
Yeah,
you are into job and you run thing digital as well. So
yeah.
how do you manage both the things and how do you correlate these things and take help from one for the other?
Okay, so I mean you are actually having that awareness. I'm telling you, you have the awareness of how things work. Seriously, the questions that you ask, right? It's really very clear, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Because your question itself had the answer,
Hmm.
because you are aware of what happens there.
Hmm.
So being on two different things, it doesn't consume a lot of time. It
Hmm.
is more about taking the inspirations to and fro. So, I was speaking recently with somebody. Working with Cloudera, I'm able to understand every process that they follow, the industry standards, the kind of, the exposure that I gain from them, right? Right
Hmm.
from this basic thing of using the products of Google.
Hmm.
Google is free tools, right? There's a lot
Hmm.
of free tools given by Google itself. So
Hmm.
utilizing them for our day-to-day needs, or our, team management, task, like
Hmm.
what you call task management,
Hmm.
all these things. I mean, it is actually going to be very simple, or very, effective, rather than focusing on some random tools.
Hmm.
So utilizing the Google ecosystem itself was something that I got to learn from the company that I was working.
Okay.
Until then, we were just using our usual Excel sheets,
Hmm.
uh, our Microsoft PowerPoints and all. But
Hmm.
eventually, when it had to drive long term as a collaborative team, right? We
Hmm.
definitely needed something beyond just the Microsoft ecosystem. We needed a little more, and then the whole Google ecosystem was itself like complete awareness that I received from the company that I'm working only. And
Hmm.
you know uh, to keep that very short, it is more about that exposure that you gain from your full-time company, which
Hmm.
you are able to apply it on this site that you're building here. And
Oh.
this will really work out only when
Hmm.
this is your passion project and that is your company that you're working for. If
Exactly.
you are kind of I mean, you are working in a company for your revenue,
Hmm.
and if you're also making revenue here, and which is like a business that you're running, which is similar, right?
Hmm.
That will really put you under pressure for sure. I'm doing all kind of big data related thoughts in my company here,
Hmm.
and if this other thing that I'm building here also involves this big data thing, if this also, directly or indirectly adds a lot of to this company's goals or this company's things, it's going to
Hmm.
be really pressure, because you will find a hard time balancing this out. You don't know
Exactly.
where to put your knowledge. But
Exactly.
if you are, having this as a passion project or something else which is totally irrelevant to what you are already working, right, then
Hmm.
that is, sweeter spot. So,
Hmm.
so today I go, I meet a customer, I go speak with them, I learn a
Hmm.
lot of things. So on a
Hmm.
regular basis, I at least type in like 100 emails. I mean, 100 is too much. At least 50 emails I type every day.
Hmm.
Okay, very carefully written emails to
Hmm.
the customers, either showcasing the good thing or showcasing the bad thing. But I know
Hmm.
how to communicate with them. But now, at any point of time, whatever I
Hmm.
learn in terms of communicating with customers,
Hmm.
I'm very well directly utilizing it here when I communicate with my collaborators here.
Hmm.
So the people whom I whom I work with together, who are the students who are leading the whole community, I
Hmm.
know how I am communicating it with them, and they will definitely feel like, okay, this guy has that feel for us, rather
Hmm.
than just writing a random email for us. It will
Exactly.
never be, hey, did you do the work? Submit it to me by tomorrow. It will not be that way. It will
Hmm.
be very clear, and it will be very concise to the point that he has to complete the work. At the same time, it will also make sure to understand if he has any problems in terms of doing it, or is there any help that
Hmm.
is needed. All those kind of things will together come to that email.
Hmm.
Those things I learned from this company, right? Similarly, here, though in this company I do a lot of technical things,
Hmm.
in from Think Digital I learn a lot of management aspects. I learn
Okay.
a lot of how to lead a initiative, how to lead a certain idea into something
Hmm.
that's implementable by others. You have an
Hmm.
idea, you know how to implement, but
Hmm.
you have an idea, you make somebody else implement is really huge. And
Yeah.
that exposure I am able to apply it in my company, right?
Hmm.
So at this point in time, I'm not a manager in my company, but
Hmm.
I have taken up a couple of management roles within the company. I mean, I'm not officially doing it, but
Hmm.
in my own position or my own
Hmm.
role, I also help my
Hmm.
managers do their certain works, which
Hmm.
is in turn like validation of what I do. Like whatever I learn here, I get to apply there, which
Yeah.
in turn, it is going to help me elevate my career in terms of this clouder, right?
Exactly.
So eventually, that is how I balance these things out,
Hmm.
and that is where, as you clearly mentioned, right, how this is going to help this. How am I going to utilize this into this? So that is how it actually balances out.
Hmm. Got it. All right. Like, just tell me one thing, that how
Mhm.
to build leaders. Like, if you are a leader and you
Mhm.
wanna form a leader from your team, what aspects you'll focus on to?
Okay. Okay. Building a leader is not in your hands.
Okay.
So it's like a two-way thing, right?
Hmm.
Someone has to be, willing or should have that intention to become a leader. So you are a leader
Hmm.
and you have a follower
Hmm.
and you keep inspiring him.
Hmm.
Eventually, he will become a leader.
Uh,
You do not make him a leader. So it is like you being that leader and you keep inspiring them now and then. Doesn't matter you meet them for the first time or nth time. Just keep
exactly.
inspiring them with new things. That's it. And
Got it.
like you tell something, right?
Hmm.
Live by it.
Hmm.
That will itself make people to start being with you. They start following what you do, and eventually when people start following exactly what a leader does, they will
Hmm.
eventually start becoming that leader. And
They
it
try
is
to
very
get
well.
inspired and copy few things too.
Yeah, yeah, right. So let's say you are a good dancer, right?
Hmm.
You are teaching how to dance,
Hmm.
and you can definitely pick up a couple of people who directly have your own style. I
Hmm.
mean, they will have a little bit of your style in their dance. So those are the people who are not just learning directly from you, but they are trying to imitate you.
Hmm.
Those will be the people whom you will pick up when you are trying to establish your own dancing clubs, multiple dancing clubs, right?
Exactly.
So that is the way we identify the potential leaders.
Hmm.
And I can say at least for every batch that we have in Think Digital, right?
Hmm.
Every group of people starting from first year to final year,
Hmm.
I'll be able to very well sense this leadership quality in them when they come to their third year. It is
Okay.
by that time that they will be able to have their own confidence to start
Hmm.
doing things even though when
Hmm.
we are not there. and we wouldn't say them to do it. You ask anybody from Tingadil, right? I wouldn't force anybody to do things. And I would say, hey, here are the things that are available. Are you interested in doing? 10 people will be interested,
Yeah.
and 5 people will start doing it, and that one or two people will continue to do it, and then they'll come and keep me in the loop of what is happening there and how they can take this forward. And those are those potential leaders, and I will invest my time on that. So am I making them a leader? No, they are already a leader, but it is just being triggered there. But eventually, when they come to a point of realization that yes, they are leading a team, then that is where, as I was mentioning about this conscious leadership, right? So I make sure they are grasping this concept of conscious leadership, and they become that conscious leader later on.
Hmm.
So that is something I focus.
Got it.
And talking something as a leadership, right? There is one thing beyond leadership. That
Okay.
is any individual who is self-governing
Hmm.
is an actual leader for himself as well as for the people around him. So my goal is not to build leaders, but the self-governing individuals.
Hmm.
So when you know how to protect you, or when you know how to lead yourself, you are eventually by your actions indirectly leading other people and making them leaders. So
Exactly.
this is the thing. So it's like aim for the sky and you will reach. I mean, aim for stars and you will reach moon, right? Similarly, while I really want to build a lot of leaders, I focus on building those conscious leaders who are self-governing individuals.
Hmm.
Eventually, I will have more number of leaders built.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, moving on to the next.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. Does wealth management comes with more wealth?
Wealth management with well, this is a very straightforward question. You don't need huge, sand pile to actually, organize it. Even if you have a handful of, sand, you can work with it. And unless you manage those, group of sand that you have in your hand,
Hmm.
you cannot manage that pile of sand. So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean financial, or in terms of anything. When you say wealth, it definitely. I mean, according to me, it is more of your money wise, your health wise, and your knowledge with everything together, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Even though right from that beginning stage, if you have a thought like you need that bigger amount of wealth, right?
Hmm.
You probably wouldn't reach that. But
Okay.
ideally, if you start setting up minor processes, minor habits that will keep nurturing what you have with you, right? It will eventually lead to a point where one random day, without even you knowing it, without even you realizing it, you would have hit that top. So
Hmm.
at that point of time, no matter what amount of wealth that you occur, be it in terms
Hmm.
of knowledge or the money or health wise, right?
Hmm.
Everything will come and it will just fit into what you already have. Rather than you trying to manage it, you would have been already following that habits or stuff which that will come and fit in. So it is much essential right from that beginning stage onwards. Right
Okay.
from college students, right? You guys will definitely have some pocket money for you, right?
Hmm.
It starts from there. You have the complete freedom to buy a new course for you. You have the complete freedom to utilize it on anything that you wish for. So
Exactly.
you should invest properly, so that
Hmm.
the returns that you get out of that investment would be really good. You invest
Hmm.
on great books, you read out of it, you gain the best insight, you process
Hmm.
it, you implement it somewhere. That
Hmm.
is where the whole graph of starting from the zero it goes. If
Hmm.
you are just keeping on, I mean, this is same like what we discussed here. If you're just keeping on accumulating a lot of knowledge from books, and if you don't implement it somewhere, it doesn't help, right? So
Exactly.
just start doing that practices to manage wealth.
Like, how can someone define the term wealth for themselves? Like, in nowadays, if someone talks about wealth, it's more about money,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
to just get clear about our own thought? Like, this is my perspective. I don't care what
Right.
you have.
Okay, see, I mean, wealth is right from that time onwards. It is more about money, right?
Mhm.
Because money is what we call the ultimate, right? Because
Exactly.
with money, you get to buy a lot of things, and
Hmm.
when I say buy, it's not about the costly, cars or the fancy phones and all. It's more about even if you want to study in a college, you need money to buy it. Like you need to buy
Exactly.
that 4 years of subscription, I would say. Every
Hmm.
year you keep paying and you be there.
Hmm.
And if you want to go and work under somebody's mentorship, you have to pay some sort of money to invest in the tools and the things that you want to experiment with, right? so
Exactly.
so for everything that you are ready to put in that effort, you need that base, that is money. So
Hmm.
eventually people thinking wealth to be money is okay, not a
Hmm.
bad thing. And in fact, when you say wealth management, right, in industry generally it is also money only. It is more
Hmm.
about in terms, it is not directly money, but
Hmm.
it's more about those assets that you would say, like
Hmm.
all those real estates, those land, the houses that you buy, everything does add up to wealth. But
Exactly.
ideally, as a college student, you can consume your wealth in terms of this, four. I mean, the four pillars I was talking about, right? You could once again consider that. The shorter way to keep that in mind is
Hmm.
INEA,
Hmm.
income, right? Identity. You yourself building that identity for you is nothing but the wealth that you're building around yourself. And
Exactly.
yeah, and when you have this identity plus the network, right,
Hmm.
that is itself like a huge wealth that you're building, because that is where
Hmm.
your reputation itself is. Like you
Exactly.
you talk about any bigger people, right?
Hmm.
Tata,
Hmm.
what do you say? All those bigger people, Bill Gates and every people, right? All they
Hmm.
have is that reputation, which is nothing but
Exactly.
a strong identity plus their network
Hmm.
will give that reputation. So everything is, everything of this
Hmm.
is wealth, right? Even if their market shares go down, even if their personal money wise, if everything goes down, if they are still having that same identity and that same network, it is very easy for them to regain everything.
Exactly.
So from my perspective, I would say it is more about understanding the whole process of your identity, your network, plus of course the money. Money is ultimate, like you cannot definitely ignore it.
Hmm.
And together it should constitute as a mindset of
Hmm.
wealth. And maybe once you come into industry, once you jump into the industry, start earning money, then you can prioritize wealth with the money's context. But for now, while
Exactly.
you are earning, I would say wealth is more of your identity, network,
Hmm.
and the knowledge that you have, and definitely your pocket money that you receive, the kind of small earnings that you do,
Hmm.
working out on that as well is wealth. Yeah.
All right, got it. Nice. Moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
Like, right. Like, what do you think? Why do people want to retire early?
I don't know why they want to retire early, but I think it's more about being free from all those commitments, right? I mean, of course, you cannot be free from every commitment,
Hmm.
but it's about answering somebody else.
Hmm.
So I don't think people are all these days very much interested in answering other people. Let's say we plan to do this podcast yesterday,
Hmm.
but we had that freedom to choose to do it today, right? But what
Exactly.
if this was part of your regular job?
Hmm.
You cannot, you do not have the control over to push it to today.
Hmm.
You took the decision for whatsoever the reason may be,
Hmm.
but you had that freedom to make the changes, right? So that's
Exactly.
where the freedom comes in. And in that case, even when you, people just overrated the term called yearly retirement, but I would say
Hmm.
it's more about yearly independence. Like I think I've heard it somewhere, fire 35 or something like that.
Hmm.
Bigger money specific companies, I would say financial companies are behind this fire is nothing but I don't know the full term, but it basically focuses on becoming independent,
Okay.
and not really that retirement part.
Hmm.
So talking about retirement, it's more about settling with everything, like
Hmm.
forgetting about all those hard end works that you do, and
Hmm.
just relaxing yourself, spending time with family, your kids, your grandparents, stuff like that. That is what is actually retirement, right?
Hmm.
You call it early retirement
Hmm.
just because it is more about that independence that you get to
Hmm.
live your life.
Ah.
Like if you do not show up on a day, it should not affect you. So I think that is where we all are looking for, right? We all want to be in that space. We don't really
Hmm.
want to answer people. And I think
Hmm.
this factor of taking up the accountability of ourselves rather than taking someone else
Yes.
accountability. So that is where I think this concept of early retirement comes in. But ideally we should
Exactly.
start thinking of this as a independence rather than
Hmm.
retirement.
Hmm.
Retirement is really huge, and I really doubt if people understand what retirement means, because becoming independent can probably be easy because I
Hmm.
work for a company now, right?
Hmm.
I can consider this to be an independent way of living, right? But it depends on what I call it as independent.
Exactly.
But when I say retirement,
Huh.
it is more about forgetting about every other, need for putting on efforts.
Exactly.
So at 35 or 40, if you really want to retire and forget about all the other things, you still have that other 30, 40 years to live. And you should have either put in that lot of, investment into it, or
Hmm.
you should have already had that, good setup from your parents or so. So without that, focusing on this, it doesn't make sense. So I mean, this is not just in terms of money as well. I
Hmm.
mean, even in terms of knowledge.
Hmm.
Let's say you are, very much settled, and money wise you are sorted.
Hmm.
Technology wise, whatever you know is this. You
Hmm.
are considering yourself to be retired, meaning you are not going to do anything beyond that. You are just going to have fun. But what happens is technology will evolve, the lifestyle will change. If you don't keep up, and if you don't run along with that, flow, you
Hmm.
will eventually be outdated by the time you are 60 and no one is going to bother you.
Exactly.
So this concept of early retirement should not be really entertained, or it should not be encouraged among college
Hmm.
students. Early independence, I agree,
Hmm.
but you will have thousand commitments. You won't understand until you are coming to that point. So,
Exactly.
so now I am 28. Okay,
Hmm.
so I mean, at this point in time, I 80% of the time I call myself independent,
Uh.
but I don't feel like retiring because I have thousand other things to do.
Hmm.
But nothing of it is holding me from, being, like being away from, doing all the efforts that I
Hmm.
do. I can just continue to do my office work and even have a even better life. I can have even,
Hmm.
2, 3x better life already. But I
Hmm.
myself commit to put into this thing digital, telling that, hey, this is something I really want myself to be part of. Right? I cannot say that, hey, I will drop my job and I'll fully
Hmm.
focus on digital and then call myself to be free.
Hmm.
No, so it's like quite a complex thing where we still do not have, the clear understanding for the college student, mentality. We definitely
Exactly.
need to, make them aware of what it really means to be retiring, and what it
Exactly.
means to be independent. And yeah, I mean, I'll talk a lot on these things
Hmm.
because there are really some very much misunderstood concepts in terms of that age category. So yeah, but in short, don't really focus on pushing yourself to be, retiring too early.
Hmm.
You are just, faking yourself until that age, and by the time you reach 35 or 40, where you call as early retirement, you will only be disappointed, thinking that, oh no, I didn't make anything in my life.
Hmm.
Because you have a career to live, you have a huge life to live. At least you will live
Exactly.
for 75, 80 years, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, why pushing and forcing yourself to, retire soon and, get outdated? Why? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All these are subjective, right? This is just my thinking.
Exactly.
So,
Nice. All right. Okay. How do you interview your employee?
interview my employee, I have some basic set of questions to ask. I just ask
Like,
him.
basically, if we talk about college interviews, they
Mm-hmm.
focus on like how much are you aware about the company basically. So is
Mm-hmm.
there something else like you are looking into the employee? What actually other companies are missing?
Okay, so for me specifically, I had taken like 30, 40 interviews from the current company.
Hmm.
So one thing that I kind of look at is, the way how we approach to things.
Okay.
Like specifically in the kind of job that I work in, it is not more about what you already know. It's more about how you really take the steps to solve, or how you really take the steps to overcome those, hurdles.
Hmm.
For example, I mean, we just have some sort of scenarios where, let's say, you are not able to connect to a certain website.
Hmm.
Okay, you are typing
Hmm.
www.thechatshow.com. You are typing,
Okay.
and it says, it does not open up. Right, it shows
Hmm.
something on the screen. It doesn't open
Hmm.
up at all.
Hmm.
So what will you do?
Okay.
Right, the basic thing. If you are a person who is really into that job, if you really are looking forward to get that job, if you're really committed to work towards that job,
Hmm.
your answer would be more about how that problem can be solved rather than blaming anything of that sort. You
Exactly.
wouldn't say that the in you cannot assume, or you cannot just say that internet is not there,
Hmm.
the cable is not working. You cannot say that other things.
Hmm.
Your approach would be, I would go and first check if the network is working or not. I would first
Hmm.
go check in a new tab if other websites are working or not. I would
Hmm.
go check if the cable is working or not. I would go
Exactly.
and check if the data is over or not. So it is more about you doing thing. What will you do to resolve that?
Hmm.
Because any interviewer will also know what is the problem. He will also know there is no internet. Either the network is not working or the things would have gone. But what you will do to check that?
Exactly.
This is just the example, right? So it's more
Hmm.
about what you will do to solve that problem.
Hmm.
So that is something that I would strongly look for.
So do you think like these things just come from the habits a person has?
Habits, yeah, maybe, but I would say these are some practices. Oh yeah, like habits, practices, yes, but it is more about their practices more than habits. It doesn't have to be their practice of
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be more of the habits,
Hmm.
because habit is entirely different thing when compared to practices.
Hmm.
When you practice something, right, whenever
Hmm.
you do that one thing, it will just be the same thing or the other. Like, let's say you pick up any any problem,
Hmm.
you will have your own way to approach it,
Exactly.
right? And if you are a person who is really okay to adapt to any kind of situation and work, you will always look for the possibilities to solve that thing,
Hmm.
rather than what do you say, rather than blaming it. So that is where I
Hmm.
say practicing is different, habit is different. And when you say practicing, right, it's more about you wouldn't need to do that again and again to
Hmm.
excel, because you don't know what the new scenarios will be.
Hmm.
But regardless of whatever the domain or whatever the problem is, if you have a basic practice of troubleshooting it in a
Hmm.
certain way, you will eventually crack it. um, I mean, probably this term practice and habit may, I shouldn't have, put that as two different things. It would have caused a little bit of confusion, but maybe we'll talk something specific about what is practice and what is habit, after 2 minutes or so, because I'm pretty sure that is yet another confusion that would have been created here when I was mentioning this. But
Hmm.
yes, in a common term, or in a very general practice, you can consider talking about either a habit or a practice, thinking or emphasizing that it is more about the approach that you take on any problem rather than the actual reaching to the solution.
Okay. All right. Now differentiate that term habit and practice.
Okay, sure. So I'll tell you, practices are more of standards.
Hmm.
Okay. It's like someone enters into Think Digital community.
Hmm.
There will be n number of habits that we have, but
Exactly.
yeah, but there will be certain practices that we do before we start any any of those habits. Like, let's say you meet up anywhere offline, you have
Hmm.
certain practices to follow. Only then you will be able to effectively undergo the offline meetup properly.
Hmm.
Let's say a proper registration,
Hmm.
a proper check-in when they reach. All these things are certain practices that we should have when you
Exactly.
are conducting events and all. You should have a
Hmm.
proper registration form. You should have proper proper check-in when they enter into your actual event space, and you
Hmm.
should also have proper feedback forms set up, and
Hmm.
you should have proper you should have proper feedback mechanisms and following up mechanisms after the events. So
Hmm.
these are some proper standards or the practices that you follow.
Hmm.
But when you talk about habits, this is more about regardless of the event happens or not, regardless of you being part of that online meeting or the offline gathering, there
Hmm.
are certain things which you will do it on a regular basis. For example, documenting.
Hmm.
Like, whatever you do, you should have a habit of going and showcasing it to the people. Like,
Hmm.
people say build in public, right?
Ah,
So whatever you are undergoing, whatever you say you are building, you have to go showcase it to the people. Only then people will know that you are doing it. So
exactly.
this has to become a habit. So whatever is a practice for you today will eventually become a habit someday. But these practices that you do today, is going to be very specific to that particular point that you do. I mean, for
Hmm.
that, for any event that you take, it's going to be helping all those practices that you have for your what do you call your community.
Hmm.
But these habits are something that will help you in terms of your life, or in terms of your future itself. So that is where this takes that huge difference.
Hmm.
One is specific to what you do, another one is directly for you. That is
Got
the
it.
huge difference that you can see between these two. Yeah, but
Nice.
sorry if I'm confusing you guys too much.
All right. Last but not least, how was
Mhm.
your experience on the show?
I did have a great time. Like I mean, I think I did give this feedback a little bit, ahead of time, right? So the way how you come up with your questions, it's really well curated, I would say, and this is something like it was very much convenient for me to connect the dots. You did help
Oh.
me, connect the dots very clearly, and I did enjoy that. Not picking up some random things here and there. It was
Hmm.
more about a proper way to get the best out of what we could converse in this 1 hour, 1.5 hours. So I think that was something really good from your side. Yeah, and I think all these kind of recordings and all these things, we definitely have to improve this practices. These are the practices, actually. These certain practices we should continue, documented, so that you don't miss out anything.
Hmm.
So all those plan A, plan B, all those things are to be documented as practices and standards, that you, like, anyone who comes to the chat show will know that, hey, this is the way this happens. So
Exactly.
that practice is something that you need.
Hmm.
Uh, but the way how you hosted is absolutely amazing. I have been looking at your face right from that moment that we started. You kept up that energy, and
Thank you so
it's
much.
very hard for people to keep up that energy, because it is me who is speaking here the most of the time, right? So those, that time frame within which I am speaking a lot, there is a huge chance that you may go a little bit down.
Hmm.
You might go a little bit down. This kind of feedback that you keep giving right after we,
Hmm.
while we discuss, and
Hmm.
if that feedback drops from your side,
Hmm.
it will definitely be a blocker for us to speak. So that way, it's a really a good energetic discussion that we had.
Thank you so much,
uh,
sir.
yeah, great, great.
Thank you so much
Keep,
for coming. And yeah,
yeah,
I know like I was about to be in Chennai for this.
yeah,
So
yeah,
a lot of things happened.
sure,
I was
sure.
like, how would I do it now? And it
Okay,
finally happened. So
cool.
thank you so much.
Thank you
And
so
most
much.
probably Rishabh will be in Chennai in coming few
Mhm.
days, and I'll send
Okay,
you a customized frame. It's a gift, and that's what we do. Like
oh,
it is a shape of a mic and a CD back there, and
oh, okay.
on CD we customize our thoughts, like how
Mhm.
I experienced talking to you.
Oh,
So
okay, wow.
I'll send that to you for sure.
Sure thing. I'm
All
excited.
right, so thank you so much.
That's a good
Let's
practice
take.
that you're following.
Huh?
Yeah. That's a good practice that you're following.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, let me take a picture. One
Sure,
picture.
sure.
Uh, hmm. Okay. Good to go.
Yeah,
One more, one more.
yeah, sure.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Take care.
Cool. Thank you so much, Nishant. Have a great day.
You
Yeah,
too, you
I
too.
think the recordings from my side has messed up. So make sure you
It is
have it
recorded.
with you. Okay, okay, cool.
All right. Bye
Uh,
bye. See you.
see you then. Bye bye.
Bye.